two things. One was the assignment, and the other was like we were in class and we were talking about speculative poetry and a speculative poem counting. So I'm going to read that too. But I'm going to start with the assignment. October 28th, E-Day. Gabriel Johnson. Oh, wait. You know, I went to the association bookstore and I said, do you have any reading glasses? And the woman looked at me like, we have dark glasses. Like, does your assistant know you wandered away from him? October 28th, E-Day. Gabriel Johnson relished his position as Assistant Project Manager for the 4WI, Worldwide Wetware Wireless Implant Software Task Force at NPG International, Neural Pattern Generation. He was a devout advocate for the vision that humans would soon be able to access all the data net using their personal built-in biocomputer. Each month at NPGI brought innovations in hardware, bioware, neural interface technology, and the programs to power those breakthroughs. Gabriel didn't consider himself a spiritual man. He was an avowed atheist and had an autographed copy of Atlas Shrugged on the bookshelf in his office. He held himself as a man of reason, a man of science, as hard-nosed as they come. He was driving to work one day, crawling along in stop-and-go traffic on a crowded city street, when he suddenly realized that he was not who he'd taken himself to be all these years. This whole facade named Gabriel Johnson dissolved, and he saw through it. He understood that he was just life, alive, awake, manifesting in this sleeve that was his body. That illusion that he'd been cherishing, that the past and the future actually existed, was a silly mistake. There was only this moment. Whether he was hit by a Mack truck in the next instant or lived to be 100 was immaterial to him. It was amazing. It was also completely ordinary. Everything was beautiful just as it was, and he was content. He was free. When he arrived at work, he was smiling. He knew no one would have the slightest idea what had just happened to him, and that was just fine. Now he had a new project to take on. 7 years later, 4WI was all the rage. Millions of people walked around with these implants. They could access any data, anywhere, anytime. Some of them got lost in video reality games. Some created new professions, utilizing teams from anywhere on Earth effortlessly. Some started to merge with external hardware around them in new biotic ways. On October 28th, Bill Gates' birthday, 2027, the sleeper virus Gabriel had implanted into all these 4WA software woke up. From inside the brain of every person who wore the wetware implant, the biovirus recoded the identity of the user. Each user now knew what Gabriel had learned, that their personality was a false identity, that in truth they have been alive for all time and that they can never die, that they exist out to the edge of the universe, a universe that would not be there without them. And that all of this was very simple, obvious truth, so easy to perceive once they let go of that pesky illusion that they were separate from everything else. They became enlightened. Finally, Gabriel had somebody to talk to. So, the next one's called Fermi's Paradox. One evening over beers, Enrico Fermi, out of context, asked his A-bomb building buddies, where are they? A night sky filled with stars, galaxies, and yet no calling cards, just silence. He asked a good question. Carl Sagan thought there should be billions spread across the universe. Frank Tipler thought less than one per galaxy. The truth lies somewhere in between. So far, 576,372 species have achieved the technology capable of space traveling. 342,512 of these planets now host only lichen and radioactive dust. 115,208 took a few steps out, looked around, and then came back home to concentrate on more important things. 118,651 launched armadas bent on universal conquest. None of those remain, and competitive probe-destroying robots destroyed all trace of their magnificent empire. And then there was one species. They left their home, wanderers, seekers, willingly lost in space. looking for something only partially perceived in the endless emptiness.